Silver the Hedgehog is a better character than Shadow, at least he should be, but Sega has been completely nerfing him from his true potential, and I'm about to explain how. What I've come up with here could completely overturn the canon of Sonic history, uplift Silver into an incredible character that he should be, and transform the one-time trio from Sonic 06 into the new face of the franchise, the new Big Three. I'll explain it all, everything cool about Silver that people overlook or don't remember, how Sega has repeatedly fumbled him over and over again, how to perfectly capitalize on all of his strengths and completely revolutionize the canon of the Sonic world, and finally, I'll let you in on a little secret. I've correctly predicted what Sega would do in the past, and now I think I know exactly what they'll be doing with Silver very soon. First, you might not know this, but Sonic 06 was meant to be a soft launch for Silver's character, just like SA2 was for Shadow. Introduce him, show him off, get people invested, then end the game ambiguously. Ooh, Shadow fell from the atmosphere and definitely, absolutely died. Yep, 100% totally. Oh, sweet baby Moses, look at those sales figures. Never mind, put him in Heroes. Put 100 Shadows in there. Let's go, get it moving. We're gonna give him an amnesia storyline. Maybe he's secretly an android or a clone. New backstory with a whole new race of aliens. Shadow stocks are up and we are investing. And with Silver, Sega introduced him in 06 only to end the game with a timeline reset. So he's back in his future. Everything's hunky-dory. We're definitely never gonna see him again. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Then they just sat back and waited for their sales figures to skyrocket again. But skyrocket they did not. Sonic 06 blows, and it completely shafted Silver's chances at becoming popular. Kinda. Look, they did bring back Silver after 06, but unlike Shadow after SA2, there was no intrigue, no sauce. They had a winner here with two good options. Either trust in the process and treat him as a new flagship character despite the performance of 06, give him new motivations, characters to bounce off of, his own game, or you shelf him, let him marinate, sit on the character for a while until people are excited about the Sonic franchise again. Then you whip out Silver for the first time in decades, now just old enough to appeal to fans who have become nostalgic for 06, and boom, we enter a Silver renaissance, not unlike the current popularity of Mephiles. But unfortunately, Sega chose option 3, haphazardly throw Silver into everything with no actual care or focus for his character. He was in all the spin-offs, Sonic Rivals, Sonic Riders, he was one of the alternate universe characters in the storybook games, he even showed up in the peak of human achievement, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. And he was maximum bland every time. They couldn't even get it straight if he was the Silver from Rivals, and is that the same guy from 06? Don't even get me started on Blaze the Cat. The point is, Silver didn't catch on immediately, so Sega relegated him to a cameo character, and this was their mistake. Now, maybe you disagree. Maybe you think Silver doesn't deserve popularity because he's just not that cool. To that I say, sit down, let me learn you something. Believe it or not, scientists have actually been working diligently for the past 7 years and recently came to the peer-reviewed, undeniable conclusion: Silver the Hedgehog is cool, actually. Let's start with his history. Devised as a representative of the future to contrast Sonic of the present and Shadow of the past, Silver comes from a world devastated by an apocalypse. His Earth was destroyed by Iblis, the flames of disaster, one half of the flame god Solaris. All his life, Silver looked for a way to stop Iblis and save the world, until he met Mephiles the Dark. Mephiles, secretly the other half of Solaris, coaxed Silver into time travel. If he could go back in time and eliminate the Iblis trigger, Sonic, then this horrible future could be avoided. And so, Silver accepted. Our first introduction to the character is that he is a time-traveling assassin gunning for the main character. And you're also kind of rooting for him? That is the coolest thing I've ever heard in my entire life, and people always just gloss over it. As it later turns out, Mephiles the Dark was a liar. Who could have guessed? And killing Sonic is actually what would lead to Iblis being released. But we don't know that at the beginning of the story, which makes Silver's dynamic with the other characters so great. He has to carry these moral dilemmas and weigh his options. Is it right to kill someone if it means I can save the world? Well, what if the guy I'm killing happens to be really chill? What if he's actually a hero? Is it still worth it? Is time something you should even be messing with? All these ideas are touched on a little in 06, but it's just scratching the surface of Silver's potential. Beyond his function in the narrative, Silver has dope powers too. Contrasting Sonic's speed and Shadow's chaos energy, Silver is a telekinetic. He has the ability to levitate and control matter with his mind. He can fly, lift, and throw enormous objects like trucks and rocks, and even smashes enemies into one another. He's a great rival for Sonic. If he catches him, Sonic can't move or escape. but he has to catch him. Plus, Silver is super serious. He views himself as the savior of the world on an all-important mission. While Sonic is cocky and carefree, it makes their clashes so dynamic and fun to watch. And when Silver meets Shadow, their banter is just as interesting. Silver grew up in hell and thinks everyone from the past is essentially living in a paradise. But Shadow has a tortured past too, and he's also lived in multiple time periods. So he just completely sucks the wind out of Silver's sails, and that makes it all the more exciting when Silver regains some respect, proving his determination and skill by achieving chaos control on a whim. Okay, I'll take a quick break from glazing to say this. All these awesome details about Silver fly over everyone's head for two reasons. Sonic 06 is a buggy, unfinished mess, yeah, but more importantly, Silver's voice actor is horribly miscast. I'm sorry, he's just this whiny, sniveling little dork. Of course you don't take this time-traveling assassin seriously when he shows up like, "Behold, I am justice! Fear me, I am the Lightbringer!" He's a goober. And the Japanese dub doesn't have this problem, by the way. Daisuke Ono does a fantastic job.
なんだって、嘘じゃないだろうな。SPO 隊が敵を引きつけているうちに行くぞ。
He sounds like a freaking anime protagonist, not the goofy sidekick. All of this is to say, if you can ignore the packaging he comes in, Silver is a really sick character with cool powers. It's a ton of fun to watch him bounce off the main cast. He brings a totally unique perspective on historical events that will color how he reacts to things differently than others, and that includes dramatic moral dilemmas that keep you gripped. Silver is awesome. So why am I the only one who thinks so? Well, because Sega has fumbled him over and over again for the last 20 years. Let's get back to that. Yeah, 06 was a garbage game with a first draft of a story and doo-doo glitchy gameplay, but it left Silver's story in a really weird place. Basically, after Solaris formed and was defeated by the Hedgehog trio, Silver returned to the future, one where Iblis never destroyed the world, and that's it. We never actually got to see what that future looked like. Blaze, the only other character from his time, she got sacrificed to defeat a version of Iblis in one timeline, but then that timeline never happened, and now Blaze is canonically from a different dimension instead of the future, because why the hell not? So nothing. We got nothing about Silver. He showed up in a bunch of things like Sonic Rivals spin-offs for the PSP. He was chasing down the descendant of Eggman from 200 years in the future, Eggman Nega. But like, is this the same guy as Silver from 06? Does anyone care? I doubt it. And other than that, Silver basically had no meaningful presence in the Sonic franchise until Sonic Forces in 2017. There, he was once again inexplicably in the past, and he did absolutely nothing of substance. So, if you grew up playing only Sonic games that came out after 2006, you very likely have no idea who Silver is, what makes him cool, or why you should care about him at all. Sega has completely ignored his history and motivation. They slap him into every game as one of the crew, never explaining why or how he got to the past. Even to this day, we don't know. There is the exception of the IDW comics, where Silver is explained to have returned after Sonic Forces in order to stop a different apocalypse where the entire world succumbed to a metal virus. But after that, he just comes back again anyway, this time with literally no explanation. The character even complains about it. He has an arc about why he shouldn't be in the past, but just is. This mishandling is so bad that it transcends even the fourth wall. And amidst all of this, we never get to see what his good future is like. We never meet any of his friends or family from that time. We don't know what his life is like or what he cares about. He has no foils, no secondary characters, nothing to bounce off of. He is a plank of wood, a piece of white Wonder Bread. We don't even know how he keeps time traveling. In 06, he used a pair of Chaos Emeralds, but that is clearly not the case since. And to top it all off, Silver has been flanderized. He was originally this self-righteous hero from a doomed world. He was kind of full of himself due to the importance of his mission, but he was also naive and had a sense of wonder about the beauty of the present world. Now, Silver is an uwu soft boy who wouldn't hurt a fly. He's like a nerdy fanboy, I guess? Did we forget that this man started out as an assassin? Honestly, the same thing was true about most of Sonic's secondary cast. Shadow was in the same boat, flanderized into nothing more than edgy, angsty loner for the last 10 years, until 2024, where Shadow Generations and Sonic Movie 3 introduced a whole new age group to his backstory and everything that makes him awesome. We got to see Shadow's relationships with Rouge and Omega in the present, as well as his history with Gerald, Maria, and Black Doom. We were reminded of his past, his motivations, why he fights, what he wants, you know, things that make a character interesting. So, here's what I think we can do with Silver. This is my pitch. How to make Silver great again. Put that on a hat. Or maybe don't. Whatever. This is how I would make Silver a quality recurring character again. To be clear, this will be working off of his established canon so far, but includes stuff I made up. It's all examples for how the character should be handled by Sega going forward. But before I get into it, thank you for watching. If you like this kind of content and want to see more, I command you to drop a like, subscribe, and consider joining my channel membership. You'll get access to my Discord and get to vote on what videos I put out next. And hey, if you change your mind, you can always unsub in the future, right? Speaking of the future, back to Silver. See what I did there? The first thing we need to do to fix Silver. What is he about, man? Knuckles became way more interesting once we learned some lore about the Echidna tribes and the Master Emerald, and I already touched on how cool Shadow's backstory is. Silver needs a home base. We need to see the future that he comes from. Right off the bat, yes, there should be a good future. Silver constantly having to prevent apocalypses, it's already stale. His time should be stable, and there needs to be a different reason for his time travel shenanigans, but one that's still important and plays off his sense of justice. Also, because of the butterfly effect, I don't think the world is the only thing that should have changed. Silver's personal life should be different too. There's no reason he wouldn't have a family and friends. First, we have to resolve why he's in the past again in these comics, but don't worry, I'll keep it quick. After saving the world from the metal virus, Silver returned to a good future, but once he made it there, he was left with two sets of memories. Bad memories where the future was devastated, and good memories where the world was safe and he had loved ones. And the prospect of a family that he both remembered and didn't, it scared him. This is why he returned to the past again in the comic run. But at some point, after overcoming this fear and confusion, he returns to the future to embrace his life there. Done. Comics canon all cleaned up. Now, in Silver's good future, we meet his two closest companions, Circuit and Bite. Circuit the Hedgehog is Silver's older sister, and because her timeline has always been safe, she's very skeptical of Silver's story about saving the world. She's more mature, emotionally grounded, and sardonic. Her dynamic with Silver is meant to mirror him and Blaze, who doesn't exist in this version of history. Basically, Circuit will always call Silver on his shit. While Silver is telekinetic, Circuit is a technopath. She can control technology and transform into data, physically entering networks to hack in and control them. Then we have Bite the Tiger, Silver's lifelong best friend. Unlike Circuit, he believes Silver and his stories about time travel and wants to travel through time himself someday. While Silver is mostly concerned with justice and keeping the peace, Bite is a thrill seeker. His ambitions were always tempered by his poor upbringing. He's a street-smart, city kid who wants to make it big one day. Bite, spelled B-Y-T-E, is more of a brawler like Knuckles and Vector. He has no special abilities, but he does use hover boots, a futuristic version of Shadow's air shoes, along with nanotech, millions of tiny machines that rest on his body in shapes mimicking a tiger's stripes. These nanomachines can spring to life, becoming weapons and tools. While the future world is safe, it's not perfect. Silver, Bite, and Circuit spend their days trying to take down EggTech, the giant corporate conglomerate run by Eggman Nega that secretly schemes for evil, all while staying in the good graces of the government and public opinion. Silver and Circuit want to topple EggTech to protect its victims, and Bite wants an opportunity to start his own corporation to take its place. And that is Silver's status quo, what his life is like in the future for a while, until eventually everything spirals and we learn why he must travel through time once again. One day, Bite and Circuit go on an unplanned mission without Silver. Bite returns alone and explains that something happened in reaction with some weird piece of Eggman tech. Circuit is gone. She's been lost in time, sent somewhere and some when, but he has no idea where. So, Silver and Bite set out together, traveling through time, trying to find Circuit. They use the time stones, you know, from Sonic CD. We'll say that Silver has been using the time stones for his previous jumps to the past too, cleaning up that little plot hole. But Silver and Bite don't get to search for very long. On one of their expeditions to the past, the two are captured by the Kronos Vanguard, an intertemporal peacekeeping police. Here, outside of time, they meet Epoch, the leader of the Vanguard. She knows who Silver is, and she let his travel slide in the past, but he can't keep messing with time unsupervised like this. So she offers Silver and Bite a choice: return to their future or work for her as time agents. They will travel through time, fixing anomalies and preventing catastrophes, and in their free time, they can continue their search for Circuit. They just have to follow the Vanguard's rule. This Epoch seems strange and somewhat untrustworthy, but they need to find Circuit, so the two agree. And blammo! I just did all the setup necessary for dozens of great Silver stories. He has a purpose: to protect the timeline and find his his lost sister. There's drama. The angst of missing Circuit is just like Shadow's loss of Maria, and his dual memories cast an ever-present gloom over how terrible the world could become if he screws up this whole time travel thing. Silver has a foil now. He and Bite get to bounce off one another as they zip up and down the timeline, solving mysteries and fixing problems, and there's a mountain of unanswered questions to explore. Where and when is Circuit? Who is Epoch? What is she hiding? Can the Kronos Vanguard be trusted? And what really happened on Bite and Circuit's last mission? Not only that, but remember the moral dilemmas I brought up earlier? Now Silver can face a bunch more. What if he sees something horrible, but Epoch tells him not to intervene? What if Epoch tells him to assassinate another good person, like he almost did to Sonic? Or maybe he's ordered to help a villain achieve something for some secret reason. And lastly, this lets Silver pop up anywhere, and I really mean anywhere. He can show up at any time in the middle of a Sonic game, or even in the lore the characters hear about. Maybe he was sent back to the Starfall Islands when the Ancients first arrived. Maybe he has to complete a special mission on the Space Colony Arc to ensure Shadow gets created properly. This setup lets Silver completely overturn the entire history of the Sonic franchise, exploring every nook and cranny that we've ever wondered about. What do you think? Pretty sick, right? If you want to see more of this version of Silver in a future video, maybe a pitch for a Silver game, sound off in those comments. Or maybe you have a better way to reinvent him. Let me know. I'll try to respond to as many as I can. But of course, this isn't a TV show or an anime. This is all for a video game character. So I just cooked up a pretty good story. None of it matters if Silver isn't fun to play, right? To that, I say, just copy Project 06. If you're not familiar, P06 is a fan-made Sonic mod of Sonic 06. It's really good. They completely nailed the Silver gameplay. Sega just needs to hit that benchmark, literally copy it one-to-one, and we're golden. No notes. Speaking of Sega, now that I've revitalized one of your hallmark character for you guys, no need to thank me, I also think I've cracked their code and know how they're actually going to use Silver going forward. Back in 2022, I released a video predicting the next game after Frontiers. One of the things I got right was Sega's marketing strategy. See, the year Sonic Frontiers was released, we got both the Knuckles Divergence animation and his appearance in Sonic Movie 2. It was a soft run of their strategy to rehabilitate Knuckles in the public perception, making him cool again. And when that worked, I guessed they would do the exact same thing with Shadow next. And what do you know? 2024 was the year of Shadow, with Dark Beginnings, Generations, and Sonic Movie 3. It's corporate marketing synergy. One by one, Sega is showing all of their new, younger fans that the other characters in the Sonic franchise are cool. They're not just the goofy, boring, milquetoast versions we saw for the last decade. So, now that we know their strategy, releasing games and animations alongside the movies that feature new characters, I have a theory. In the post-credits of Sonic Movie 3, we saw an army of metal Sonics and the arrival of Amy Rose. And of course, this implies they'll be adapting some version of Sonic CD, the first appearance of both characters. But what does that have to do with Silver? Get ready, I'm about to big brain this one. There have been rumors that Paramount has big plans for Silver in their upcoming movie universe, and maybe this means Sonic Movie 5 or something, but I think it's sooner. I think Silver will be in the 4th movie. In 06, Silver travels back in time to kill Sonic because he thinks he's the one who ends the world. Well, wouldn't it make sense if, I don't know, Metal Sonic ends the world, and in the ravaged future, Silver thinks it was the original, the real Sonic that kicked it all off? And so in traveling back to kill Sonic, he would need to learn that it was actually Metal, perhaps through the intervention of Amy, just like their dynamic in 06, and then Sonic and Silver team up to stop the robot menace from overtaking the world, just like in the Metal Virus arc of the IDW comics. But wait, I hear you asking, I thought this movie was supposed to be a Sonic CD adaptation. To that, dear viewer, I respond to what game other than Sonic 06 focuses on time travel? That's right. I think in the movieverse, Silver is going to collect the Time Stones, first featured in Sonic CD, and use them to travel back in time to battle Sonic. And if I'm right about the plot of Sonic Movie 4, that is just the tip of the iceberg. We might be getting a year of Silver just like we had with Knuckles and Shadow. He's up next to get shown off and revamped, which tells me that he will have a big role to play in the next Sonic game, likely releasing in 2026. And if they do even half as good of a job as they did with Shadow, this will be a home run. They just need to follow the the basic outline I included here. Give Silver a future, give him his own foil characters to bounce off of and interact with, and focus on his unique perspective, the moral dilemmas of time travel. If Sega does that, then maybe people will finally remember that Silver the Hedgehog is cool, actually. Stay frosty.